everybody. It is your host for this episode, Cody Stoffer, and you are listening to the Playmakers Corner podcast, talking women's college flag football between the D3, community college, and NAIA level here. And there's a ton of games to talk about from this past week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it here. There were a few games that kicked off the week on Wednesday, March 12th. So I'm going to do some box score recaps, talk about some of the closer games, and then pass it over to Gino, who managed to catch two of these games. But without further ado, the very first game that we're going to talk about took place between the Ottawa Braves and Bethel here. This ended up being a big-time Ottawa win here as they went up 16-0 in the first quarter and did not look back after that, eventually winning this game 54-0. Now, on Bethel's side, they just struggled with turnovers. Kendall Longman went 14 of 32 for 58 yards, 3 interceptions, sacked twice here. So just kind of a tough day here. Their biggest amount of yards that they were able to really do was Tatiana McCollum, who was able to rush for 34 yards here. But other than that, nothing too crazy on the Bethel side. Xavier Mann did get an interception and 2 pass breakups. Meanwhile, Regina Mendoza got 2 sacks that resulted in 15 yards of loss. But over on the Ottawa side of things here, I mean, this defense obviously pitched a shutout here. You had Bethany Uribe, who had an interception, Tatiana Dos Santos, who had an interception, and Talia McInnes, who also had an interception in this game here, for a cumulative 65, 72, 92 interception return yards. So that is obviously going to be big time in a game like this. And as for the Ottawa offense, I mean, they got a lot of different people reps, which is very interesting to see as far as doing pass attempts and whatnot, or so it seems according to this box score. It looks like they had 3, 6, 8 different players pass the football here, but still resulted in 6 passing touchdowns here and only a couple of sacks on Jada Barron here. Meanwhile, you look at the receiving stats here, and Marley Spielberg and Talia McInnes both led with 4 receptions, both eclipsing the 60-yard mark, and McInnes finding the end zone twice, and then Jada Barron catching a touchdown, Cynthia Holmes catching 1, and Isabella Sosa also getting 4 receptions for 22 yards and a touchdown. So that was Ottawa's win over Bethel. Now transitioning here, we're keeping it in the KCAC, but this game was between Midland and University of St. Mary's. I tuned into this game as soon as I got out of work, and it was already out of hand at 34-0. The overall score would be 34-6 in this game here. And yeah, I mean, it was just all Midland all day here. Angel Ionecayo, 24 of 48, 5 touchdowns to no picks, almost eclipsing 300 yards, sitting at 291 here. And as far as receivers who tore it up, Elia Livingston had 117 yards on 7 receptions and a touchdown. Dominguez Millsop had 4 receptions, 38 yards, and 2 scores. Meanwhile, Morgan Kalasek as well as Kobe J both found the end zone as well. And then defensively, Dominguez Millsop had 2 interceptions, and Malaysia Rupina Tuayo, I'm so sorry if I butchered that, also had interceptions of their own. Meanwhile, Nadia Simpson led with 5 flag pulls here. Now on the other side here for St. Mary's, Anaya Hooks got the nod at quarterback, 9 of 27, 82 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Brooklyn Hill being basically the lone bright spot here for St. Mary's, 7 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown, and just not a whole lot of resistance here as Midland rolls over St. Mary's. Now for a more exciting game that did occur on Wednesday night. This was actually a game that was rescheduled here. And if you look at our rankings from last week, it was number 6 Kansas Wesleyan against number 8 Baker University here in what was ultimately a very awesome game. But let's go ahead and dive into it here. Baker, to start with the football, got a quick pass to the 19, and then an incompletion set up 3rd and 1 before a pass down the left seam to Simmons got a first down all the way to the 34-yard line. After an incompletion and another short pass, it set up 3rd and 1 until midfield again, but Baker was able to convert with a quick pass over the middle that picked up a first down pass midfield. So already in this drive, 2 big first downs on 3rd down, and it's starting to make the clock kind of really bleed out a little bit very early in this game. Now, they find themselves after a dump off and some pressure in 2nd and 15 with a delay of game here, and things just went from bad to worse as a good pass rush from the Coyotes, Douglas here, forced an incompletion. Now, it is 3rd and 15 here, and Tara is the quarterback, and she takes off, evading multiple flagpoles, and miraculously gets a first down on 3rd and 15. Just a collapse here by the Kansas Wesleyan defense to allow their third down conversion of this drive, and now the Wildcats are in the red zone on the 20-yard line going in, trying to bring it home here. Now, Waller is at quarterback and passes right to Phillips, right on a swing pass that puts Baker on the 11, so a gain of 9. The next play is followed up with another swing pass, this time to the quarterback, Tara here, who gets inside of the 5-yard line, setting up 3rd and 3. Tara is in the gun here at quarterback and throws a crazy pass over the middle that is on target but not quite brought in and sets up 4th down and 3. So this is the first 3rd down where they did not reach their distance here. And Kansas Wesleyan on their own 3, their backs against the wall, trying to get out of this situation here. And with 4 minutes remaining in the first, it's going to be a pass for Baker. And Aaliyah Wood breaks up the pass, and the bleeding finally ends for Kansas Wesleyan's defense. And they're on their own 3, but with under 3.5 minutes in the first, huge stop by the Kansas Wesleyan defense. And kind of a bummer for Baker, who put together an 8.5-minute drive here with some big 3rd down conversions, but Kansas Wesleyan holds on. Now, Kansas Wesleyan, like I said, deep in their own territory, but Awada finds Roman very quickly, and now they have some breathing room to set up 2nd and 11. On 2nd down, they got trips left, and Awada finds Roman coming across left to right for a gain of a few yards, setting up 3rd and 7. Now, the pass right to Aaliyah Wood does get them a first down here, and they convert their own 3rd down. On 1st down, right at their own 20-yard line, Awada scans, loads up, and fires downfield, finding DeQueer here, who gets her flag pulled at the Wildcat 37-yard line. That is DeQuee here with a big gain, putting themselves into Wildcat territory. And while they do get another playoff, that will be the end of the first quarter here, 0-0. And Kansas Wesleyan is in enemy territory with 2nd and 9. They dial up a play action shot here to start the second quarter, and that is almost intercepted here. So a little bit of a scare, and it sets up 3rd and 9 from the 29 going in with the Coyotes showing trips left. Now, after the snap here, Awada steps up to avoid the sack, and rifles one to Aaliyah Wood for a first down all the way at the 11-yard line. So a big 18-yard gain, and now they are in the red zone. And the very next pass puts the Yotes ahead 10 yards, and they're at the 1-yard line with 3 downs to go to figure something out. But can Baker respond with a goal line stop themselves? Well, here on the 2nd down play, it is trips right, and Chihiro is going to run in for the score here. And there's a couple of flags on the play, but both are on Baker. The Coyotes will obviously decline those. And the PAT is no good, but Kansas Wesleyan now leads 6-0 with 9:25 left in the first half. Baker here, after squandering a very long drive, is trying to string together something here and tie this game up or take a lead. They come out in an empty set with a quick throw and pitch that advances them to the 19-yard line, so same start as last drive. But a swing pass left to Martinez is caught, and she cuts inside and breaks ahead down the middle of the field all the way past midfield for the Wildcats' biggest play of the day here. Now, while there is an incomplete pass following this, they then pass right quickly to Faith Phillips, number 12, who swivels ahead and gets into the red zone, and you could tell that this drive, less methodical, more explosive, just the way that Baker wants it. And so they're on the 18-yard line going in here, and they are going to try and get some motion and go over the top, but the pass is incomplete. And second down does not yield that big of a gain. And so now they are third down and plenty to go in the red zone here. And they might be starting to feel a little bit of the pressure. And Kansas Wesleyan, can they pull off another red zone stop? Well, I just don't think that's going to happen because a quick snap to Waller passes back to Tara, who finds Phillips on a pass for the touchdown here. So a little bit of trickery, as Baker is known to do in that very dynamic and creative offense here. And there is going to be a PAT. They're going for one here, and it's no good, but a flag on Kansas Wesleyan gives them another attempt, but another flag happens. So on the third try, it is a charm here, and Waller extends for the PAT, and Baker now leads 7-6 with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first half. Baker then keeps the momentum on a roll here and forces a 3-and-out on Kansas Wesleyan, and with a bad punt from Kansas Wesleyan, they're on the 27-yard line going in. Now, on this drive, they start off with a Faith Phillips catch for 5 yards, but on the very next play, they're going to pass left, and it is intercepted by Soraya Tafua, and it gives the Coyotes the ball right back on their own 20-yard line like they never left here. Now, trying to score before the half here, there's going to be a quick pass to Angel Roman, who picks up 4, and then Chiro is going to pass left quickly to Whitfield, who gets past the 30-yard line. The clock stays running, and Chihiro winds up and takes a shot deep where Baker makes an easy pass breakup, and Kansas Wesleyan, they decide to stay aggressive and go for it on 4th and 8 until midfield. And Aaliyah Wood gets behind the entire defense, but Chihiro just narrowly overthrows Aaliyah Wood here. It's going to be incomplete and just a huge missed opportunity. And a turnover on downs, giving Baker the ball in Kansas Wesleyan territory here. Now, there's going to be a very short gain here in a couple of plays, but Baker's going to take a timeout facing 3rd and 6 and with under 2 minutes to go in the half. Now, there's going to be a snap to Waller, who pitches to 4, who pitches back to Tara here, who finds Harris downfield once again with multiple laterals here. Baker gets a big gain, and now they are inside of the 10-yard line at the 6. Baker is in tight with a really wide Tara out left, and they just do a direct snap to Waller that gains 3 yards. Kansas Wesleyan takes a timeout with 20 seconds left in the first half as Baker was lining up very quickly, and the Coyotes are trying to hold off on the Wildcats, who are now inside of the 5-yard line. But that is not going to stop Baker, as the snap to Waller, who passes left to Tara, is ran in for a touchdown. And while Kansas Wesleyan does get a sack on the PAT, it is still a Baker lead 13-6 here with 16 seconds left in the half. And Kansas Wesleyan will not be able to score in that time. So Kansas Wesleyan will be trailing Baker 13-6, but will get the football to start the second half. So Kansas Wesleyan here, they come out with a drop. Not exactly what they're looking for here, but they do bounce back with a pass to Angel Roman that advanced them to the 25-yard line. On first down here, Chiro buys time and throws back to the center, who advances all the way to the 39-yard line for a real good gain, setting up 2nd and 1. Now they pass right to Oliver, who gets past midfield, and then a pass to Roman runs ahead to the 30-yard line, and then a pass to Dupuis here sets up a very manageable 3rd and 3. Durr ends up getting open and gets a first down inside the red zone, and Kansas Wesleyan is just marching here, trying to, close this gap here and see if they can get within a point, tie, or maybe even take a lead, depending on how the PAT goes. But now in the red zone, they pass right to Aaliyah Wood that sets up 2nd and 14 until the end zone. Now Jimenez here is going to block and then release with a catch to the 5-yard line. And a pass left to Jimenez is going to be caught, and she extends, reaches, and breaks the plane for the score here. And while the PAT is no good, it is now 13-12, Kansas Wesleyan, a lot closer than they were just a drive ago. Now Baker here is going to get the ball up 13-12 with 6 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third quarter. Tara is going to find Simmons left, who gets a first down to the 21-yard line. And then it's going to be a snap to Waller, who fakes and or reads the jet sweep and advances to the 26 for a 5-yard gain. Waller is in the back here and motions Tara, who throws right to Phillips ahead to the 32-yard line, setting up 3rd and 8. And then they're going to line up in trips left and try a pass to Simmons here, but that is going to be incomplete, and Baker will punt, giving Kansas Wesleyan the ball on their own 20-yard line. Wood gets the catch on this first down play and gains 4 yards, but Baker's going to respond with very good defense by Zabaleta, who forces an incompletion in coverage. Now they have bunch right here, and Chihiro slices down the left seam, finding Wood ahead into Wildcat territory. Now on the 33-yard line, it's going to be a pass left to Durr that is caught, and her flag is pulled at the 25 for an 8-yard gain. Trips right here. Chihiro fires downfield to Roman on a wheel route, but Roman cannot quite secure the catch here, and Iwata is going to end the third quarter on a completion over the middle, setting up first down and 10 yards until the end zone here. They line up bunch right and throws a jump ball left, but that's not quite brought in. But on the next play, it's going to be a jet sweep to Whitfield, who passes it back to Iwata here, and she's going to throw a laser to Aaliyah Wood for the score here. Now, after the play, it gets a little interesting here, as there's, in my opinion, a somewhat questionable unsportsmanlike conduct call on Aaliyah Wood. Not sure if she said something to the defender, but from the other side of the screen, looks like a pat on the back. But it's going to be a 1-point attempt from 13 yards out, but who knew that's exactly what Iwata wanted here. And she finds Durr for the score anyway, and K-Dub now leads 19-13 with a little over 11 minutes left in the ball game here. So now Baker has the ball here, and they're going to pass left to the boundary, and that's going to be caught by Simmons, setting up 2nd and 1. And they take a deep shot down the middle, but not quite hauled in here. And now in 3rd and 1, Baker lines up in a 2-by-2 setup, and Tara finds Phillips for a first down. Phillips does try to lateral for extra yards, but not quite brought in here. And so they're on the 24-yard line here with first down and 16 to go. Following an incompletion here and a little bit of a gain, it is now 3rd and 9. And Tara is reading and feels pressure and takes off with multiple defenders missing her flags and puts Baker in a great spot at the 24-yard line going in. So basically flipping fields here on the scramble here, and just, Kansas Wesleyan, that's now twice where she has taken off, and they just cannot pull her flags. And honestly, probably a little bit of a hold should have occurred as well, as it looked like they got some of her shorts and or jersey here. But regardless, Baker is in a great spot here, and Waller motions Tara and keeps herself sprinting ahead into the red zone here. They are benefiting from major big plays here with this unorthodox offense that K-Dub just can't seem to really figure out here. Waller is back again and passes quickly, but a very quick flag pull by Green of K-Dub sets up 2nd and 13 for Baker. Waller is in the gun, and it is snapped, and she takes a shot downfield, and it's caught in the end zone by Jalen Harris on a just mistimed jump by Roman and a great pass by Waller. And now the game is tied at 19 apiece with 5:43 to go. And on the PAT, Waller gets the snap and finds Tara here for the PAT. It is good, and 20-19 now with Baker leading. But never count out K-Dub here, as they get a quick pass to DeQuee here and a first down. Chihiro then takes a note out of Baker's playbook and runs it herself to the 34-yard line for a nice gain. On 2nd and 6, Simmons makes a great break on the ball for Baker and forces an incompletion, and now it is 3rd and 6 for K-Dub here, trying to keep this game alive. But it's going to be a great catch by Yui here, past midfield and getting to the 32-yard line with 3 minutes to go. This is what the game is all about. This is what dreams are made of. Who's going to win out? K-Dub's offense or Baker's defense? Well, stay tuned here as Iwata rolls right but throws back to Jimenez, and it's a great flag pull by Zabaleta that prevents more damage from happening and gives K-Dub 2nd and 4 with 2.5 minutes to go, and the clock is ticking. They put 4 receivers on the left side, and Chihiro finds the open room and breaks right for a first down into the red zone here. Baker really got a hatching down. It is coming down to the wire here. There is 2 minutes to go, and a pass left to Roman gets to the 13-yard line. Waller here is put in at rush and gets a very good pass rush, forcing Chihiro to dump off to Jimenez for a very short gain. But K-Dub is on the 9-yard line, and there is a minute left in the game, probably trying not to leave Baker any time to score if that's the plan. But They line up bunch right, and Waller comes on the pass rush here. Chihiro evades it narrowly, stepping up, trying to throw for Aaliyah Wood, but it's intercepted by Kaylee Phillips here, giving Baker the ball with 29 seconds to go, to which they successfully burn out the clock. And number 8 Baker in our power rankings upsets number 6 Kansas Wesleyan for a big conference dub here. And they continue their revenge tour here on this winning streak. And yeah, just a huge win for Baker. Kansas Wesleyan, they had their chances in this game, but ultimately I just feel like their defense just, they got the big stop at the beginning, but after that, Baker was kind of just moving very, very well. Obviously, the interception as well. And then, K-Dub's offense had an opportunity at the end, but just very clutch defense here by Phillips, making the biggest play in the biggest moment of this game. And the Baker offense, they were moving very, very well here. Who knows, whether it was Tara or Waller in the backfield at quarterback. It seemed to work kind of no matter what they wanted to do, and they just kind of kept that Coyotes defense on their heels and capitalized and came out with a win. K-Dub here, it's definitely not time to panic. Baker's obviously a very, very good team. They're direct competition for 2 in this conference, honestly. And I know that both teams are trying to get to that number 1 spot here. So it's only going to make both of these squads better. Chihiro with some unlikely errors in this game here with that interception off that pass rush on, the play that ended the game, and then missing Aaliyah Wood on that deep pass. Wood just got so open. I know that that's going to sting a little bit when watching the film, but I think that K-Dub did a really good job at getting the ball into the hands of their best playmakers in Angel Roman, in Aaliyah Wood, and I think that that is going to be the key to success for this team if they want to make a deeper run this year than they typically do. But ultimately here, K-Dub falls at home to the Baker Wildcats 20-19. Now for the other Wednesday action, I'm going to pass the mic to my guy Gino here, and then you'll be hearing back from me for Thursday and Friday action.
What is going on, y'all? This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and it is time to recap some Wednesday night flag football. In this game, we got William & Woods facing off against Graceland, and this is going to be William & Woods' home opener, and they're still looking for that first win and first touchdown of the season. So let's not waste any more time and go ahead and see what happens in this one. It is going to be Graceland ball here, 1st and 6 to start out this game, but they would actually end up going 3 and out here with Olivia Menard getting a sack and then Maddie Jones getting a nice pass break up there to help force the punt. It will be 1st and 11 for William Woods here in their own territory following the punt. On first down, the QB, Mackenzie Hicks flicks a beauty to Addie Chalek for a nice gain into the red zone. It will be 1st and 18. On first down, Hicks rolls out left, and her pass is picked off by Delaney Mondino. What a play there from the Graceland defense. It will be 1st and 16 here for Graceland as they are pinned up against their own end zone. Bunch formation here to the right on first down as the QB, Shyla Barrios, keeps it left for a big-time first down. It will be 1st and 20. On first down, Barrios' pass is caught by Delaney Mondino to make it 2nd and 13. And then a check down to the halfback, number 11, who is not listed on the roster, makes it 3rd and 10. And on third down, Barrios rolls out left and keeps it just barely for the first down across midfield here. It will be 1st and 19. On first down, a fake reverse pass to 11 makes it 2nd and 18. And then following an incomplete pass, another check down to 11 makes it 4th and 9 as William Woods calls timeout here. The camera did not move, so I don't know what happened coming out of the timeout, but it looks like Barrios got a big-time run there to make it 1st and 19 in the red zone here for Graceland. On first down, Barrios keeps it for 4 yards, and then a dangerous pass over the middle is incomplete. On 3rd and 15, Barrios avoids the sack, but Olivia Menard recovers and gets the sack. It will be 4th and 22 in the red zone here for Graceland. On 4th and long, Barrios drops back and fires a bullet to a receiver, and it's caught, but the receiver is down at the 1-yard line, so it will be a big-time turnover on downs for the William Woods defense. It is William Wood's ball, 1st and 19 here as Mackenzie Hicks drops back, and her pass over the middle is picked off to give Graceland the ball back at the half-yard line. I did not see who caught that one, but that is a big-time turnover there for the Graceland defense to try and take an early lead here. On 1st and about a half yard here near the end zone, Shyla Barrios keeps it for the touchdown as Graceland goes up 6-0 with 2:01 left here in the first quarter. And then Barrios would throw a beauty to Delaney Mondino for the extra point to make it 7-0. It will be 1st and 6 for William Woods after that score from Graceland. A pitch is stopped after a yard on 1st down, and then on 2nd and 5, Mackenzie Hicks fires it over the middle to Addie Chalek for a big-time 1st down near midfield. On 1st and 6, a short crosser to Chalek again goes for 3 yards, and then on the next play, the rusher ran over the blocker, so that will be an automatic 1st down across midfield. On 1st and 13, a short pass to Maddie Jones goes for 2 yards, and that takes us to the end of the first quarter. Graceland is up on William Woods 7-0. It is 2nd and 11 to start off the second quarter, and an incomplete pass makes it 3rd and 11. On 3rd down, a nice hook and ladder here to Olivia Perkins as she pitches it to Maddie Jones as she runs by to put the Owls near the red zone. On 4th and 1 here, Hicks keeps it for a 1st down as she spins out of a flagpole to make it 1st and 9 in the red zone. Following an incomplete pass, Hicks throws it away to avoid a sack. It will be 3rd and 9. On 3rd and 9, Mackenzie Hicks launches it up to the end zone, and Kennedy Van Noy jumps up and head tops her defender for the first touchdown in program history for the William Woods Owls. It is 7-6 now, and what an insanely tough grab there from Van Noy. The extra point is no good, so it will stay 7-6. It will be 1st and 6 for Graceland following that score from the Owls. But they would actually end up going 3 and out here as Yvonne Brussel bullies her way into the backfield for a sack, and then she got another sack on the next play to help force the punt. It will be 1st and 1 near the red zone here for William Woods following the punt with 6:41 left here in the first half. A short pass goes for a half yard, and then a diving catch gets them oh so close to the red zone. It will be 3rd and inches. They go deep here on 3rd and inches, but the pass is overthrown, so it will be 4th and about a half yard as William Woods calls timeout here. Coming out of the timeout, Mackenzie Hicks rolls out, and she finds Kennedy Van Noy, who burns the defense for the touchdown and her 2nd of the first half, and the extra point is good here as the William Woods Owls go up 13-7 with 5 minutes left here in the first half. And Graceland would actually end up going 3 and out here on their next drive as Sam Menard nearly got a sack there, and then some great defense in the secondary to force 3 straight incomplete passes. And the punt is kneeled a half yard short of midfield here, and it will be 1st and 1 for William Woods. On 1st and 1, an incomplete pass with good pressure from the Graceland defense makes it 2nd and 1, and then a deep pass to an open receiver is just out of reach. On 3rd and short, a short pass for a 1st down gets them across midfield. It will make it 1st and 20. On 1st down, Hicks launches one down the sideline, and it is caught by Yvonne Brussel, who gets them a big-time 1st down in the red zone. It will be 1st and 16. On 1st down, a sidearm toss to Natalia Hernandez de Leon, who rips it up the sideline and falls into the end zone for the touchdown. And that will be the freshman wide receiver from Panama's first career college touchdown. And following the extra point, that was no good. William Woods takes a 19-7 lead here with 56 seconds left in the first half. And then on Graceland's next drive, Yvonne Brussel kept it rolling here, getting her 3rd and 4th sacks to force Graceland to punt. But it will be 19-7 at halftime as William Woods is rolling here in their home opener. Coming out of halftime, it will be William Woods' ball, 1st and 6. A check down goes to Maddie Jones for 5 yards as William Woods calls an early timeout here. And then coming out of the timeout, an insane pass to Addie Chalek on a deep crosser makes it 1st and 4 near midfield. Then a check down to Maddie Jones gets them the 1st down across midfield. On 1st and 19, Mackenzie Hicks drops it deep over the middle to the center, Addie Chalek for a huge first down in the red zone. On 1st and 10, Mackenzie Hicks keeps it rolling as she connects with Kennedy Van Noy for Van Noy's third touchdown of the game. The extra point is good, so William Woods is now up 26-7 as their offense is absolutely dominating in this one. It will be 1st and 6 for Graceland after that score. An incomplete pass on first down makes it 2nd and 6, and then Shyla Barrios keeps it, but an illegal forward pass will make it 3rd and 6. On 3rd down, Barrios keeps it for a first down. It will make it 1st and 12. And then following 3 straight incomplete passes, it is 4th and 12, and Graceland is going for it, but that will be another incomplete pass and a turnover on downs. It will be 1st and 8 here for William Woods after that defensive stand. A deep pass is just out of reach and well covered there by Grace Jensen. Graceland isn't rushing anyone here on 2nd and 6 as Hicks eventually finds Natalia Hernandez de Leon for a first down in the red zone. On 1st and 18, Hicks keeps it for 6 yards, and then on 2nd down, a pass over the middle to Addie Chalek makes it 3rd and 4. On 3rd down, a sidearm pass to Emma Anderlich puts William Woods up 32-7, and the extra point is no good, but that will end this recap here as William Woods gets their first win in program history in their home opener, 44-13, in a win over Graceland. And your playmaker of the game will be Mackenzie Hicks with 7 touchdowns, 283 yards on 27 of 43 passing in the Owls' home opener. And that will put an end to this recap here, folks. This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I will see you in the next one where I have Southwestern versus Cotty in some KCAC action. Peace out. What is going on, y'all? This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and it is time to recap some KCAC football from this past Wednesday night. We got the Cotty Comets facing off against the Southwestern Mound Builders in a game where both teams are looking to climb up the power rankings and start to build some momentum for the end of the season. Southwestern got the win last time these two squads played, so it will be interesting to see if Cotty can come back and get a win back from them. But with that all out of the way, let's not waste any more time and jump right into this recap. It will be Southwestern ball, 1st and 6 to start off this game. On 1st and 6, the freshman QB Kendi Hayes fakes the handoff and keeps it for a first down. On 1st and 17, a very tough pass in a tight window to Olivia Manfrey makes it 2nd and 8. On 2nd down, a pass to Sharifa Piamonte, who makes a defender miss and takes it across midfield to make it 1st and 17. Following an incomplete pass and a handoff to Piamonte, it makes it 3rd and 12. On 3rd down, a drop pass makes it 4th and 12, and Southwestern will be going for it here. On 4th down, the pass is going deep, but it falls incomplete, and that will be a turnover on downs. It will be Cotty ball, 1st and 9 in their own territory. On 1st down, the QB, Amaya Karula, keeps it to make it 2nd and 4. And on 2nd down, Tegan Smith picks it off to give the Mound Builders the ball back in Cotty territory. It will be 1st and 19 for Southwestern near midfield. Kennedy Hayes steps up and hits Olivia Manfrey in stride on a skinny post for a nice gain to make it 2nd and 5. And then a quick pass goes for 2 yards. And on 3rd and 3, a dangerous pass to Manfrey along the sideline is nearly intercepted, but instead it is a first down in the red zone here for the Mound Builders. On 1st and 12, Kennedy Hayes somehow avoids a sack and keeps it for 6 yards as Southwestern calls timeout here. On 2nd and 6, coming out of the timeout, a sack makes it 3rd and 13. I could not see on the stream who got that sack there. On 3rd and 13, Hayes fires one to Olivia Manfrey in between the defense to make it 4th and 2. Southwestern will be going for it here on 4th down, and it is a direct snap to the halfback, but it is dropped. So that will be a turnover on downs near the end zone here, and it will be Cotty ball, 1st and 16. The QB keeper is shut down by Andrea Moon to make it 2nd and 15. And on 2nd down, Amaya Karula rolls out and hits Alina Jean-Baptiste in stride for a nice gain. On 3rd and 3 here, a QB keeper makes it 4th and 1. On 4th down, Karula and Jean-Baptiste connect again as Jean-Baptiste takes it up the sideline for a first down. It will be 1st and 12. And then a quick pass goes for a yard, and that takes us to the end of the first quarter. It is still 0-0 in this one. Starting us off here in the second quarter, it is 2nd and 12 here for Cotty. Karula checks it down for 2 yards, and then a pass is incomplete, and that will force Cotty to punt it. It will be 1st and 14 here for Southwestern following the punt. On first down, a pitch to Sharifa Piamonte is stopped by Laurencia Botts. On 2nd and 12, Kennedy Hayes rolls out right and heaves a bomb to Olivia Manfrey, who makes the catch along the sideline to make it 1st and 17 in the red zone. Olivia Manfrey is absolutely taking over in this game. On 1st and 17 in the red zone, Sharifa Piamonte takes the direct snap for a decent gain to make it 2nd and 9. On 2nd down, a pass to the end zone intended for Viviana Solis is nearly picked off, and it will be 3rd and 9. On 3rd down, a pass to the end zone is caught by none other than Olivia Manfrey, who is having a hell of a game. Southwestern goes up 6-0 here after the extra point was no good. It is 1st and 6 for Cotty following that score. An incomplete pass with good pressure from Sharifa Piamonte makes it 2nd and 6. On 2nd down, Amaya Karula keeps it, and that will get them the 1st down. On 1st and 16 here, Amaya Karula connects with Zitali Botts on a post, and she rips it up the sideline to tie this game up 6-6, and the extra point was no good, so it will be 6-6 following that score. And folks, we are going to go ahead and skip to deep in the 4th quarter. It is Southwestern ball, 1st and 15 in their own territory following a punt, and this game is still tied 6-6. On 1st and 15, Kennedy Hayes and Marie Jones connect on a quick hitter to make it 2nd and 9. Hayes then fires a bullet to Tegan Smith over the middle for a huge gain into Cotty territory. On 1st and 7 in the red zone, Kennedy Hayes stays hot on this drive as she throws a dot over the top of the defense to Olivia Manfrey for a Southwestern touchdown to take the lead deep in this game. It is 13-6 after Viviana Solis took in the extra point, and that will be the final as the Mound Builders win this one 13-6 over the Cotty Comets. Your playmaker of the game in this one is going to go to Olivia Manfrey. She finished with 12 receptions, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And that will wrap things up in this recap, folks. This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast. And up next here, I'm going to be recapping what happened in the Tampa Tournament. So stay tuned for that. What is going on, y'all? This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and it is time to go ahead and see what happened in the Tampa Tournament from this past week here in Week 4. The Tampa Tournament consisted of a slew of NAIA squads from the Sun Conference, as well as a couple of JUCO teams and some Division I club squads. So it is really just a melting pot of squads from all sorts of classifications. We are going to start off here on day 1 on Thursday. The one game we had here on Thursday, Thomas beat down Pasco Hernando 60-0. In this one, Keelan Coleman went 8 for 12 for 94 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Giselle Jones had 4 receptions for 64 yards and 2 TDs. Keelan Coleman is your playmaker of the game for this one. Moving on to day 2, our first game here, Florida Gateway versus Florida Memorial University. Florida Gateway wins big here, 52-0 over the Lions. No box score in that one. Then next up here, Florida Memorial versus Warner. Florida Memorial falls to Warner in that one, 27-6, as the Lions are still looking for that first NAIA win this season. And no box score there. Coming up next here, we got St. Thomas with the 26-0 shutout win over Pasco Hernando. No box score here, but next here for Pasco Hernando, they lost to Kaiser in a pretty rough shutout, 68-0. And in this one, Haley Young set the Kaiser University school record with 7 passing touchdowns in this one, with 4 of them going to Kennedy Foster, and those 4 touchdowns tie Foster's previous school record that she had set before. After that, we got Thomas versus Florida Gateway. Thomas shut out Florida Gateway 33-0, and no box score there. And then speaking of Thomas, they beat Daytona State 39-0 in a shutout. Holly Nieher went 7 for 12 for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Maddie Haugland had 3 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. And Zoe Jackson had 2 receiving touchdowns on 4 receptions for 50 yards. And then on defense here for the Nighthawks, Caitlin Herb had 2 sacks and Maddie Haugland had an interception. And your playmaker of the game in this one is Maddie Haugland with that receiving touchdown and an interception on defense. In the last of the Friday games, we have Warner getting the win over Daytona State 28-13. Catherine Hutchinson connected with Jessica Finley and Destiny Whitmore on the first 2 touchdowns of the game. And then she found Anna Vincenzini and Jessica Finley again for her 3rd and 4th touchdowns of the game. She is your playmaker of this game. And that takes us to day 3. Our first game here on day 3, Florida Gateway falls to St. Thomas 34-8. Dominique Perez-Moore started off the game with a pick 6, followed by a Kaylee Miller receiving touchdown from the QB Brooke Bogatz. And Bogatz connected with Tashumba Washington on the next touchdown, and this game was done for from there. Your playmaker of the game, and this one will be Brooke Bogatz. Next up here, Warner shut out Pasco Hernando 53-0. No box score there, but Warner finishes 3-0 in the Tampa Tournament. Next up here, Florida Gateway takes down a previously undefeated Weber by a score of 30-13. No box score there, but that is definitely an impressive win from Florida Gateway. They were the 2024 JUCO National Champions, so to see them competing well against NAIA competition is great to see. In our last game from the Tampa Tournament, we got Kaiser, who shut out Daytona State 52-0. Haley Young had 4 passing touchdowns, with 3 of them going to Ashley Clam, along with 88 yards receiving for her. Ashley Clam will be your playmaker of the game for this one. And that, folks, will wrap up the recap from the Tampa Tournament. This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I will see you all next week. Peace out.
Now, for Thursday action, we're just going to be looking at a few box scores, not a ton of games here, and nothing too crazy. You had Weber play Pasco Hernando State College and win 40-4, Sam Wilson throwing 3 touchdowns, and Caitlin Sigmundi also throwing 1 touchdown, and 4 different players, including Sigmundi, all catching a touchdown. Her, Balaco, Price, and Gator, with Sigmundi going for 115 yards and a touchdown here. Meanwhile, also on the defensive side of the ball, they forced 4 interceptions. Sigmundi, of course, grabbing one of those. As for Pasco Hernando Community College, Jasmine Randazzo, 26-44, 150 yards, 1 touchdown to 4 picks. Weber wins that one. Now, Thomas played Pasco Hernando as well on Thursday, and they won 60-0 with a 41-point second quarter here. Alexa Wilson throws 2 touchdowns. Keelan Coleman throws 3 touchdowns. Holly Nair throws 2 touchdowns. Just, scoring galore for the Nighthawks in that one. And finally, Reinhardt had a game against Huntington College on Thursday, and they won big 41-0. Looking at notable stats here, Isabella DePiece here, 14 of 18, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns to a pick, and Kaylee Kent went 7 of 13 for 55 yards and a touchdown with no interceptions. Isabella also ran for a touchdown as well, and defensively, they obviously got a shutout against this squad here, with Avani Cooper leading at 10 total flagpoles, and Sana Crow here getting 2 picks for 45 interception return yards and 3 pass deflections, and Michaela Cooper recording the 1 lone sack for Reinhardt in this game. That was basically all of the Thursday action, wrapped up very, very quickly. Now for Friday non-Tampa tournament action here, as Gino is holding that down, we have a couple of games that went down. William Woods hosted a ton of games this weekend, including one against Midland here. And boy, were they on an absolute roll here. William Woods beats Midland 26-0 with all 26 points coming in that second quarter. And just by forcing Angel Ioane into a tough game, 16 of 42 for 135 yards and 2 interceptions. Obviously, you could tell by the score, just nothing going for the Midland offense. Now, defensively, they did force 2 interceptions with Jocelyn Lopez and Naomi Rapina Tuayo here, both getting those interceptions, and 1 sack from Seegers here. But the real story here is the William Woods defense here. Obviously, pitching the shutout. Adeline Shalik here with 2 interceptions for 19 return yards. Emma Angelic with a couple of pass breakups here. Jaden Jalbert with a couple of pass breakups here. Just a very, very dominant performance here. And then offensively, Mackenzie Hicks, 19 of 37, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Take it, leave it, whatever you need to do. But had some big stepping up here. Avani Brussel here, 7 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. And then Kennedy Van Noy with 43 yards on 4 catches and a touchdown of her own for such a big, big swing here. And then obviously when you look at the likes of the defense here, that is where some of those other points come in for William Woods here. If you look at the score chart here, it's going to show you kind of a similar thing here for what made this game so successful, I should say, for William Woods here. So they get a big win, and Coach gets a little bit of a revenge dub here against his old stomping grounds here on this weekend. The other game that occurred is that Campbellsville and Southwestern were in the building here, and I was able to watch a ton of this game here. And, you know, Campbellsville, they started off, drove all the way into the red zone, but it was so windy in this game that when they tried to score from the 14-yard line on 3rd and 4th down, there was just, the ball got carried by the wind and sailed right out of the back of the end zone. And that was kind of all that there was for that here. And so they lost steam inside the red zone. And then once Southwestern got the ball, they had to burn timeouts kind of early. And I mean, you could see that the trees were shaking, water bottles were flying across the floor, across the turf. I mean, the camera audio was super windy. We saw a ref hat have one of the bigger gains of the day by flying off the ref's head and going for like 10 or 15 yards. So it was just kind of a really low scoring game here, dominated by defensive efforts here. Minix for Campbellsville was getting a ton of work in as far as sacks, pressures, flag pulls for loss here. And Campbellsville, I mean, they were trying to, you know, get things going, and they had red zone trips very, very early. You know, you think about Campbellsville, they got started on the 26 going in after stopping Southwestern on their opening drive, and they got all the way inside of the 5-yard line. But then you had a big flagpole by Olivia Manfrey here that forced a turnover on downs. Now, obviously, Campbellsville, they capitalized on this. Rashia Minix, as I mentioned before, was responsible for the Tigers' first score of the game, forcing a safety since Southwestern had to start on their own 1-yard line here. And Campbellsville took the early 2-0 lead. But going for it on 4th down, they were not able to quite convert, and they kind of exchanged a couple of those back and forth, Southwestern and Campbellsville did, before finally Southwestern eventually got the ball before half on the 33-yard line going in. Kennedy Hayes gained 7 yards for one of their bigger plays of the day, but they hurried up and they caught the defense off guard, as in the blink of an eye, Hayes lets one fly, and it's caught by Tegan Smith for a big touchdown here, a 26-yard touchdown. And while the PAT was no good, Southwestern led 6-2 with 1:17 to go in the first half. And Southwestern would take that lead into halftime, 6-2 here. And Southwestern would also start with the ball, but they would be forced to punt very early here. The Tigers here would gain a few yards here and there, and they've kind of been dipping back and forth between 2 different quarterbacks in this game, but ultimately they turn over on downs, and Southwestern, they're about to get driving, but there is a huge stoppage in play due to weather, and the stream never picked it back up. So shout out to the Southwestern website for filling me in on what exactly went down when I could no longer see it here. But apparently in the third quarter here, she ripped off, Kennedy Hayes, that is for Southwestern, ripped off a 64-yard rushing touchdown here in order to go up 12 or score 12 points, which is what their winning number would be here. Campbellsville, they would score another touchdown and be down 12-8, but that would be the final score here, as it was just super duper windy. Not a whole lot of love to go around here. Talkington apparently ended the day on 152 passing yards. Campbellsville honestly outgained Southwestern very, very well, going for 220 total yards to Southwestern's only 159, and picking up 8 first downs to just 5 first downs. But Southwestern just not in third down situations as much, and Campbellsville being very, very aggressive on fourth down as well. Third down conversions, Campbellsville went 1 of 11, and on fourth downs, just 2 of 8 here. And obviously, Kennedy Hayes getting that 60-plus yard rushing touchdown, that is going to be enough to win that game. So Southwestern gets the dub on Friday night, 12-8 over Campbellsville. Lots of KCAC action this weekend here, and a ton of it happened in Missouri here, but there is still other stuff going on, such as Ottawa here on Saturday would play Graceland here. It looks like it was in Iowa, so quite a few road games here for the Braves during this stretch of the season, but did not matter that they were on the road, as they would leave with a 43-0 victory here over Graceland here. Notable performances, obviously, from Madison Carrera, 19 of 25, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. And on the receiving end, Jaslyn Camacho, 8 for 106 and a score. Alyssa Linkus caught 2 touchdowns, and Dos Santos also caught 2 touchdowns. And obviously, defensively, just very, very dominant. Kaufman had 4 sacks. You also had Jasmine Dunn, who had a sack. And this team forced 3 interceptions. Cynthia Holmes, Jukani Washington, and Bethany Uribe here, all being a part of that in that big win for Ottawa. Now, it was a big weekend in Missouri, a ton of games here, but William Woods here finding a couple of victories along the way here. Saturday, they had a couple of matchups here, specifically Southwestern and then later Bethel here. And while they would start off here with the football, it would actually be Southwestern that would score first in this first quarter here and would end up, taking a very brief lead here, as William Woods would respond with 26 unanswered through the second and third quarters specifically, and with a couple of scores in the fourth. That means that William Woods here would get a 32-12 victory. Now for Southwestern here, Kennedy Hayes, 10 of 28, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 4 times was she sacked here. So honestly, just could not get her rushing threat going, but Mary Jones showed up big time for Southwestern. 3 receptions, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns. She was definitely the premier receiving threat for this squad. And then defensively, Olivia Manfrey here and Viviana Solis here both recorded an interception, and this defense got 2 sacks of their own. But the big story here was Avani Brussel here, 3 sacks for loss of 15 yards, as well as 2 pass breakups in this game. And then Olivia Perkins also got a sack of her own. Meanwhile, in the turnover machine, Adeline Shalik was doing her thing, and Kennedy Van Noy both recorded interceptions. And then offensively here, Olivia Perkins also had a pretty good game. 8 receptions, 69 yards, and a score. Brussel caught a touchdown, and Kennedy Van Noy caught a touchdown on her team second lead. 7 receptions for 56 yards. So honestly, Mackenzie Hicks just put on a fantastic performance here. She got the ball to 8 different receivers here who recorded receptions here. She threw 5 touchdowns to just 2 picks and a 26 of 44 for 259-yard stat line. I mean, honestly, just picked apart this Southwestern defense en route to a big-time dub. Now, for the Bethel game here, it was all William Woods all day. They end up winning this one 61-0 here. Mackenzie Hicks throws for 370 yards and for sure a school record here. 9 passing touchdowns here on 47 pass attempts. I mean, golly, she's throwing a touchdown pass every few passes here, and everybody got to eat. Brussel had 4 receiving touchdowns. Perkins had 2. Hernandez de Leon had 1. Van Noy had 1. Shalik had 1. I mean, it was just an all-you-could-eat buffet here. And then defensively here, Olivia Menard and Samantha Menard here both recorded 2 sacks. Meanwhile, Kennedy Van Noy had a pick. So, yeah, not too much to report there, but a very good Saturday for William Woods. Now, following a pretty rough Friday showing against William and Woods, someone who really needed a big weekend was Midland here, and they bounced back here with a very solid showing here on Saturday here. They had Bryant and Stratton first here, and they took care of business against this community college, winning 60-6 here. And Bryant and Stratton, they would get back later that day. Bryant and Stratton, that is, who beat Pratt Community College 25-7. But back to Midland here in this game. I mean, everything was just going right the way that you'd want it to. Ione Kayo went 28 of 36 for 254 yards and 7 touchdowns, throwing almost as many touchdowns as she did incompletions here. So that's a really good look. Receiving wise, Livingston lived up to the hype, 85 yards, 3 touchdowns on 7 receptions. Emily Farron had 8 receptions, which was a team high for 45 yards and a score. Elizalde had a touchdown. Dominguez Millsap had a touchdown. I mean, it was just the type of performance that this team has kind of been looking for and finally got here in a big win against Bryant and Stratton. And then later that day, they would end up playing Campbellsville. And despite Campbellsville striking first with 7 points, it would be pretty uneventful for the rest of the first half here before Midland ripped off 26 unanswered points here to get a big-time W here. Midland, very efficient on third down, 5 of 8. Meanwhile, Campbellsville, 2 of 8 and 1 of 3 on fourth down. Once again, conversions just not really going their way over the course of this game. Now, it looks like the primary quarterback for Campbellsville was Amani Scott here, 12 of 29, 139 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Talkington got in there and also threw a pick, so that may explain her early exit here. And then as far as receivers who ate here, J.C. Harper, 5 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown with a long of 26. That was the lone touchdown of the day for the Tigers here. And then defensively, they were just not able to get a lot of pressure, not force a lot of turnovers. But Midland, on the other hand, had a big game from Natasha Blaylock here. 3 sacks in this game. And then Naomi Rapuna Tuayo here got 2 interceptions. So a good defensive performance from Midland here. And then Ione Kayo, once again, with another solid game. Not as good as the previous game, but still 23 of 39, 215 yards, and 4 touchdowns is more than enough to win. Getting receiving touchdowns was Livingston, Kalasek, Farron, and Seegers here. So that was Midland's Saturday. Definitely one that you won't complain about going 2-0 in that kind of William Woods Invitational, if you would. Now, Campbellsville themselves would bounce back with a win 19-6 over Pratt Community College, who, like I mentioned earlier, also suffered a loss to Bryant and Stratton College that is from Wisconsin during this Invitational here. But more Campbellsville action would be happening on Sunday. But that is kind of everything from William Woods in that day. And then there's just a little bit more action on Sunday. Now, there was just a little bit more action on Sunday here for all of the squads in William Woods' neighborhood. So I'm going to go through that real quick here, and then I'm going to bring it home by talking about some of the other games here. But talking about Sunday here, there were a few matchups here. Campbellsville, for one, would face William and Woods here. And William Woods would face Campbellsville, obviously, and then both would play Pratt Community College. But let's go ahead and talk about this William Woods Campbellsville game. So Campbellsville, unfortunately, will get the ball and then punt. And then William Woods here they're going to get a pass here. They're going to try and throw right, but the pass is jumped by number 21, J.C. Harper, and returned all the way to the 9-yard line in Woods' territory here. So now Campbellsville gets a second life here with only 9 yards to go until the end zone here. But an incompletion and a sack from Brussel here would put them into a very deep third down, and a speed option is snuffed out before a swing pass is stopped well short of the end zone, and the defense gets the ball back here, giving William Woods the ball from their own 13-yard line. Now, while they will gain a first down on this drive here, it will stall out, and they will have to punt it before they can cross midfield, giving Campbellsville the ball on their own 31-yard line. Now, Talkington is in, and they moved on from Scott here, and it doesn't really matter as it's incomplete. But the next play, Presley Payne is going to get the ball left and evade a few defenders, but is finally stopped by a third defender. But a penalty on Campbellsville will be accepted and push them back to the 26-yard line. They will be facing 3rd and 14 to start the second quarter here, and they line up in a bunch formation, and Talkington takes a shot left, and it's caught by Alex Odom for a first down past midfield here, and now Campbellsville, with a little bit of motion, gets up and gets another decent gain with a pass play to the right. However, it is responded to by Woods' very own Brussel, who gets a big sack, pushing the Tigers back into a 3rd and 16 hole. Campbellsville will use a timeout here, and the Tigers will have to go to their go-to Payne, who gains enough to make it 4th and 12. And while Campbellsville decides to go for it here, the Owls here send 2 rushers, but Talkington hangs tight and delivers a strike to Rojas Gibbs for a big first down. Now they're on the 18-yard line going in, and it's their second red zone trip of the game. But a big sack from Brussel, her 3rd of the game here, will slow down this drive and eventually force this Campbellsville squad into a 3rd and 24. And they're going to have an incomplete pass, and on 4th down, they get a deep pass right to Beecher, who makes a tough head-top catch. But William Woods gets a flag pull at the last second and gets the ball inside of their own 5-yard line with 6 minutes remaining in the half. Now, for those who remember, Campbellsville got a safety earlier in this invitational kind of setup here, so they smell blood in the water when the Owls have the ball on their own 3-yard line. But luckily, they will get a little bit of breathing room just outside the 10-yard line, but will have to punt and give Campbellsville the ball at midfield. Now, Campbellsville, trying to be methodical here, starts off with a speed option right that gains 4, and then they have a little pop pass in the backfield here to Presley Payne, who accelerates and sprints ahead, getting past multiple defenders and inside of the red zone here. And with 2 minutes to go, the Tigers only have 15 yards to go, and they are in their 3rd red zone trip. You know what the saying is, 3rd time's a charm. Well, let's see if William Woods agrees with that, as Talkington rips one down the middle, and it's caught at the 1-yard line, and Campbellsville will use their last timeout of the half with 1:34 to go. They come out with a trips left speed option that is marked just short here. And on 4th and 1, the Tigers are going to drop back, look right, look left, look right again. And Talkington's going to let one rip, but Jaden Jalbert jumps it and houses an 80-yard pick 6 here. And after Van Noy makes the catch on the PAT, it is a 7-0 lead here. The 2 biggest plays of this game so far being major interception returns here, but William Woods being the ones who actually house it and take a lead here just before half. Now, Campbellsville is going to get the ball here, but they're unfortunately going to just go 3 and out, and William Woods will use a timeout. And with a punt and a return, William Woods is on the 20-yard line heading in, which matches the amount of seconds that they have to try and make this work. So 20 seconds, 20 yards. Will they be able to get it done? Well, not on the first play, as it is a drop, but on 2nd down, Hicks is going to drop back and throw an absolute dot over the middle that is caught by Olivia Perkins for the touchdown now. And Woods is going to take a 13-0 lead into halftime. And that was kind of the story of the game for the remainder of this game, as these teams just kind of exchanged drives that kind of stalled out. But ultimately, William Woods will win by that final score of 13-0 here. In the box score, or at least in the stats that we have available, it looks like Mackenzie Hicks went 19 of 30 for 120 yards, a touchdown, and obviously that pick. And then looking at receiving here, Brussel with 7 receptions and 47 yards, being the team high in both categories, not to mention her defensive effort of 3 sacks and a pass breakup in the early game went absolutely nuts. defensively for Campbellsville, it was J.C. Harper with the big interception return and also leading the team in flag pulls with 8 of those. And then as for Campbellsville, their main source of offense is typically Presley Payne here, who had a few decent ones. That one reception that put them in the red zone was a 21-yard catch and run, so that was big time. And, I mean, they went between a few different quarterbacks, 3 of them to be exact, Talkington, Scott, and Knowles, and no one was able to put points up on the board. So shout out to William Woods on another shutout. And they kept that rolling as well into a 32-0 win over Pratt Community College. Nothing too crazy here. I mean, Mackenzie Hicks, 14 of 28, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks here, but the defense forcing 5 interceptions in this game here, with Kennedy Van Noy getting 2 picks, Adeline Shalik getting 2 picks. You also had Madison Jones, shout out Maddie Jones for getting a pick, and Emma Anderleek for getting a pick as well. And then this pass rush was pretty potent as well, with a combined 4 sacks this game. So great weekend for William Woods flag football here. Kudos to them and anybody else who made it out to that invitational. Always good to see a ton of games played at the same time. And yeah, with all that being said, that kind of only leaves a couple of life games to cover from Saturday's action, as well as the Atlantic East coming right up. Now, before we get too crazy here, do want to highlight the Atlantic East real quick here, as they had kind of a triple header a little bit between Marymount, Immaculata, and Eastern in the Atlantic East Conference. So the very first game of these 3 was the game between Marymount and Immaculata here. Marymount going absolutely nuts here, winning 45-0 when looking at the Marymount website here. It looks like Kara Volmer went 8 of 8 in passing, throwing for 2 touchdowns and 148 yards. You also had Kayla Barr here, who had 99 rushing yards, including a 65-yard run and 2 scores, while also getting a pick and 2 flag pulls on defense. Jayla Thompson had 53 yards on just 2 catches and a score. Meanwhile, you also had Clara Detweiler here, who had 2 receptions and 9 other players getting a reception here. And then Kara Craig leading the Saints with 5 flag pulls in their big win against Immaculata here. Immaculata, Natalie Dodd went 11 of 18 for 73 yards, but had 2 picks. And Sydney Butcher went 1 of 1 for 16 yards. Dodd added on another 22 rushing yards. And it looks like their leading receivers were Eliana Satkowski and Abigail Lentowski. But not a ton of yards going on. Ultimately, Abigail Lentowski was leading flag puller with 7 tackles, and then Rory Watson had 5 herself, but ultimately they just fall short in that game. Now, Marymount would follow this up by playing Eastern here, where Volmer had another 110 passing yards on 15 of 22 with 4 passing touchdowns. You had Kayla Barr, who had 41 rushing yards. Carly Rivera this time was leading receiver, 9 receptions and 4 touchdowns, while also having 6 tackles on defense. So very good weekend for Marymount football here. Now, taking a look at that Immaculata and Eastern game, this one was really close, actually, but Immaculata would get their first ever Atlantic East Conference win or program history win, beating Eastern 20-7 in the second game. Now, according to this Immaculata article, the game was scoreless through the first quarter, but Eastern would actually get a lead here with a 2-yard touchdown run and getting the PAT to take a 7-0 lead. But Immaculata would respond here with some big 3rd down conversions here. Abby Lentowski here with a 22-yard reception here. And then Sydney Butcher getting another first down and with her feet, and then with passing it to Natalie Dodd. But eventually they get it into the red zone here, and Dodd will take it 20 yards for the score. And then after a Lentowski conversion, it is a 7-7 game in the quarter. Now, Eastern on their next drive would turn over the ball as Eliana Satkowski Kowski. I'm so sorry, Eliana. But either way, she gets a reception. Doesn't matter if I can read because she knows how to read the quarterback and gets a pick six all the way. And after a conversion, it is 14-7. And Immaculata would never look back, eventually taking a 20-7 lead with another Eliana touchdown. This one being a reception from Butcher, the quarterback here. So Sydney went 8 of 14, 88 yards, and a score. Natalie Dodd, 3 of 7 for 11 yards. But Dodd, 3 rushes, 39 yards, and then the rushing touchdown. Meanwhile, Sydney Butcher had 10 rushes for 33 yards, and CIA Harris had 12 yards as well. But it's really hard to overstate the pick six here. That really was the momentum turn for this Immaculata squad in their win over Eastern. So, yeah, that is the gist of the Atlantic East here. Taking a look at the standings here, it looks like just matching them up here. In the lead is Centenary. That is a New Jersey squad. They are 2-0, but Marymount is tied for them at 2-0 as well. Penn State, Shoykill is 1-1. Immaculata is 1-3 now, but got that win over Eastern. Eastern at 0-2, and then Holy Family University and Newman are yet to play and have wins or losses recorded. So we're excited to see what they're made of in the coming week. And lastly here, we have a couple of games from Life University here. They beat basically a scrimmage against a club team in Charlotte here, but they did also play Milligan flag football in an absolute classic. So let's talk about that, and then we will move to our power rankings. So Milligan here is going to be the one to start here, and Bridget Kaiser is going to drop back by some time and then find Sarah Rankhorn over the middle all the way to the 26-yard line for a first down. They then have Worley in motion, and Kaiser's going to keep it herself ahead to the 33-yard line. Krista Quinn will then make a catch on the right boundary and get a few more yards past midfield for a first before they're on the other side of midfield. Now it's going to be trips right, snap to Kaiser, who sidearms to Rankhorn, who tries the lateral, but her flag is pulled first. Kaiser then dumps off quick to Jalise Padilla and now sets up 3rd and 3, where Milligan motions into trips right, and Kaiser takes off right, but a nice flag pull by Kira Zachary of Life prevents a first down, and now it's 4th and inches to go for Milligan. They come out and trips left, and they get bunched up, but Kaiser rolls left and checks down to Yasmin Lott for a first down, and now the Buffs are in the red zone. They put a very high pass on the top shelf where only Caitlin Quinn can get it, and now it's 2nd and 5 until the end zone. And on 2nd and 5, it's a snap to Kaiser, who looks left, throws left, and it's caught by number 7, Sarah Rankhorn, who reels in a tough catch where only she can get it here. And for the PAT, Kaiser looks right, comes back left, and then fires one over the middle to Lott, who reels it in while drawing a penalty to give them a 7-0 lead with 7:18 in the first. Life now trailing, but getting the ball for the first time. They start off with a quick pass over the middle that is caught by Latoya Mitchell that sets up 2nd and 4, and a drop, unfortunately, now puts them in a 3rd and 4 position here. But they have a weird bunch by the Milligan sideline to open up space for an easy dump to Mitchell, who picks up a first down. Cheyenne Brooks now gets the snap, looks right on first down, and it's caught by number 3, Akara Jackson here. And a flag on the play on Milligan is going to even give them a closer spot here, setting up 2nd and 5. Now, really close to midfield here, it's going to be 2 blockers staying back for Life, which makes me think that they're going to go deep, and they do as Brooks lets one rip down the right sideline to Altiera Gooch down the right sideline, and her flag is just narrowly snagged at the 11-yard line heading in here. And now they're in the red zone here, trying to capitalize off of the big play. Brooks does her best to avoid the rush on 1st and goal, but Hudson sticks with her and gets a well-deserved sack, pushing Life back to the 15-yard line. Brooks on the next play then rolls left, pumps left, but then comes back right to Mitchell for a check down, who cuts right across the field and positions the Eagles inside of the 5-yard line. There's then a snap to Jackson, who tries to lateral back to Brooks, but the lateral is off target, and now that sets up 4th down and 6 yards to go. The snap is to Jackson, who dips, dives, and dances around, eventually shaking her defender and waltzing into the end zone here. And after Branham catches a PAT, it is 7-7 with 2:18 in the first quarter. Back to Milligan here. It's going to be a roll left, throw left to Worley, who advances to the 22 for a first down. An incompletion here, and then another incompletion that's almost intercepted here, puts them down in a 3rd down situation here. Bridget tries stepping up, but is brought down a bit by the defender, which is just a tough mistake, giving the Buffs another chance, and now only 9 yards to gain on 3rd down. Like I said, it's 3rd down again, and Kaiser winds up and fires one over the middle that Wearley leaps up for and snags, advancing the Eagles to the 29-yard line here and bringing us into the second quarter. Now, in the second quarter, they open up with a pass to Rancorn, who sneaks ahead into the red zone, and then there's going to be a very short gain here, as well as a bobbling catch by Rancorn, who puts them at the 5-yard line. Now, on 3rd and 5, they call a flood right, and it's just off the hands of the intended receiver. So now it is 4th and 5 here, and Kaiser is going to just rocket one into a perfect window to Rancorn, who gets her 2nd score of the game. And while the trick play don't work for the PAT, it is still a 13-7 lead with 9:09 in the half. Life is actually going to basically go 3 and out here after getting a first down on their first play, and then going 3 and out and having to punt here. So Milligan will now get their turn at their own 26-yard line. Zachary will get a sack on 2nd down and out. It is 3rd down and eternity. But Kaiser is going to throw right to Rancorn, who has another catch, setting up 4th and a very manageable 4 until midfield. And Milligan will burn a timeout here with 5:07 left in the half. They are going to come out and go for it, and they motion into trips left. They throw right to Rancorn, who laterals to Krista Quinn, who wins the foot race down the middle of the field. Rancorn not only getting the clutch catch, but getting it to a faster teammate, and Quinn gets a touchdown here. And while the PAT is no good, it is a 19-7 lead with 4:34 in the second quarter. Life here now down by 2 scores, trying to close the gap a little bit. Will pass to Branham, and a penalty on Milligan will add on a ton of yards. There's going to be a short run and an incomplete pass, but now Life is looking at 4th down, and they come out in a weird formation where Brooks rifles in a pass right to a receiver, Akira Brothwaite here for a first down, and now there's another 2 minutes to go in the half. Brooks more calmly this time steps up to avoid pressure and connects with Jayla Wright. Shout out Colorado Springs represent. And on the next play, Brooks pumps and shakes a defender, and Gooch makes a big-time catch for a first down into the red zone here. Another Life completion, this time to Branham, has them just outside the 5-yard line, and they're going to use a timeout with 31 seconds left in the half, trying to close this gap. They got receivers set all the way to a sideline for an easy pass over the middle that would have scored if caught, but it's still only 3rd down, so they have plenty of time to amend that mistake. But Milligan is going to take a timeout themselves. 27 seconds remaining. Now, Life here is going to motion in Branham. Brooks is going to keep it herself right and score here. And then in the bunch formation for the PAT, Brooks is going to run it in again for a 14-19 score. Life, both of their touchdowns being rushing touchdowns here just before half. No score from Milligan. So Milligan nurses a 19-14 lead, but Life gets the football here to start the second half. Now, Branham starts off this drive with a first down catch. Brooks then runs and laterals to Mitchell, advancing to their own 29-yard line, and then Mitchell gets a check down all the way to the 37, setting up 3rd and 3. Mitchell on 3rd and 3 just shovels to Gooch, and that's a first down to the Milligan 33 as she makes a few defenders miss and gains some yards. Brooks then gets the snap and feels the pressure of Worley and closes to the check down quick. Now, Brooks is going to get it to Mitchell again, super open in the middle of the field, and doesn't get her flag pulled until in the red zone here, just giving them the middle of the field here. And then on the next play, Mitchell makes a very tough catch here. And now there's just 10 yards until pay dirt. Now Cheyenne Brooks gets the snap and lobs one over the top to Branham, but she doesn't quite secure the catch while in bounds. And after a check down, it is now 4th and 11 here in the red zone, where Brooks rolls back and throws up a prayer into triple coverage. But Altiera Gooch makes the catch in triple coverage. Crazy head top to give Life the 20-19 lead. And although the PAT is no good, it still ate up 5 minutes. This is immediately followed up by a Milligan 3 and out that were on 3 straight drops. Pretty depressing stuff. And now Life wants to take a legitimate lead of their own. Now, Life does have to start at their own 4-yard line, and Milligan can smell blood in the water, and they're going to try and get that safety here. But Brooks gets a nice little gain here of 7 yards, and now they have breathing room to their own 11. Brooks is going to load up and try and take a deep shot, but Sakaya Newell here has a big-time pass deflection and great timing to disrupt the pass. But a quick pass to Gooch is going to gain a first down to the 23, and another check down to Gooch is going to get lateraled back to Brooks, who runs ahead to the 36-yard line, setting up 3rd and 4 until midfield. Now on 3rd and 4, Brooks throws a risky pass over the middle that harmlessly falls to the ground, but on the next play is going to just keep it herself and gain a first. Now past midfield, Brooks gets the snap, looks deep, and takes an easy deep shot to Gooch, who takes it all the way. Touchdown Eagles, and with the PAT no good, Life now leads 26-19 with under 20 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Now for Milligan here, they're going to leave the 3rd quarter with a quick pass and catch to build off in the 1st quarter, down by 7. On 1st and 11 from their own 29, Gooch has a fast flag pull to keep the shallow crosser to a minimal gain, but then Quinn catches the ball and evades one defender, running ahead into Eagle territory with a first down in hand. Kaiser loads and throws and finds Ashton Worley for a nice catch and run, setting up 2nd and 4 before Lott makes a catch and isn't stopped until the 19 for a first down in the red zone. Now, it's going to be a quick pass to Worley, who sneaks by the safety and trots in for 6. And with a crazy tip drill PAT, this game is now tied up 26-26 with under 10 minutes to go. It is now Life football here, and they're going to find themselves in a 3rd and 1 very quickly, but they get a shovel pass to LaToya Mitchell, who picks up a first down. Gooch then gets a check down on the next play, setting up 2nd down and 2 until midfield, and then Brooks to Gooch is continuing to happen, and a missed flagpole puts the Eagles now at 1st and 10 in Buffalo territory. Brooks keeps it and breaks down the right sideline into the red zone for a big-time first down here, and then on 1st and goal, Brooks scans and looks and scans before finding a receiver by the left boundary. I want to say it's Iana Torres here, who puts the Eagles 11 yards away. Brooks has another run, setting up 3rd and 5, but make another tally for Altiera Gooch with a touchdown and the lead for Life with 4:08 to go, and the PAT is successful, making it 33-26 for the Eagles. Milligan now down by 7 with 4 minutes to go. Do they have what it takes? Kaiser comes out, throws left to 22 for a first down, only 14 yards to go until midfield. 22 on the catch again, only leaving 4 yards until midfield. Kaiser tries to squeeze in a tough window to a rollout boundary, and it fails incomplete. It is now 3rd down. But Jaleese Padilla on 3rd down is going to get a big catch and run for a first down. Worley then catches and gains around 5 yards. And then Krista Quinn, just being unbelievably clutch this drive, gets another catch, this time putting them only inches away from the red zone as the clock runs into the 2-minute warning. Now, on this next play for Milligan, Kaiser gets the snap, looks back, and finds Ashton Worley nearly wide open, who basically skips in for a touchdown here. And now with a PAT, it'll be a tied ball game. But the Life defense on this play brackets Sarah, and the safety almost makes an interception, but fortunately still breaks up the pass, making for the most narrow of leads at one point. So Life, they could just get a couple of first downs, and this game is in the bag. But Tatiana Buono here gets a sack and a timeout that really throws a wrench in Life's plans. But Brooks is going to find LaToya Mitchell, who picks up a major first down with under 1:40 to go. And this is going to help them drain the clock with the icing on the cake being a shovel pass to Gooch, who breaks past midfield for the final first down, giving Life University a upset win over the Milligan Buffaloes 33-32. Just an absolutely electric game. A great showing from Cheyenne Brooks. Honestly, her best showing to date for Life University. And thinking about Milligan here, just a tough way to go. I mean, there is just no defense in this. This was a good old-fashioned shootout. And unfortunately for Milligan, Life just came out on top, but both teams looking very fun and exciting in this latest matchup. And now we got the PMC power rankings here. And starting us off down here at 22 is a team that went down one spot, which is Bethel here. Simon said their closest game was a 19-point loss to Graceland 2 weeks ago. I just said it's starting to feel like the wheels are coming off. These are tough games, but you got to not get clobbered from one opponent to the next. And then Gino here just put yikes. Now, for FMU, they technically move up one spot here, but, we all aren't sure if they're going to beat an NAIA team. Is basically where we're all sitting as they beat a non-NAIA team. Now, University of St. Mary's is in the exact same spot at number 20 with their cumulative score. That's where Simon has them, where he said tough matchups versus Ottawa and Midland went as expected. But the performance against Midland was particularly uninspiring, as I had them at 19. And Gino put, I am just not sure if St. Mary has potential to rise much this season. The only team they can maybe beat ahead of them in the KCAC is Graceland, outside of Bethel, of course. So now we're at number 19, which is Siena Heights here. They drop down one spot here. Simon still has them at 17, saying for now they stay here. For me, I just didn't have too much to say. And, but no NAIA wins yet, but that could change against Graceland next Saturday in week 5, as Gino has them ranked just ever so slightly higher. Now, at number 18 is Reinhardt, who surprisingly moves down one spot despite their first win of the season. But the sentiment is that they just have not beat an NAIA team yet, basically amongst all of them. Gino moved them up a little bit, saying that they showed some life in week 4, especially defensively. They definitely have the potential to rise in the rankings after getting some confidence in the Tampa tournament, is kind of the sentiment there. But Cotty moves up a couple of spots to the number 17 ranking here. That is just one spot above where Simon puts them at 18. He said, quote, they hung in there with Southwestern until the 4th, which is not bad at all, especially considering how good of a week Southwestern had. Being near the bottom is tough, so they'll take all the silver linings. Gino about Cotty said that their only win is against St. Mary, but that they have a chance to change that with games against Bethel and Graceland in week 5. I had them at 17. I said, for this point down, it doesn't matter too much, but I have them just behind Graceland in my rankings because Graceland had the last laugh, but I made sure to have them ahead of USM. So, they have NAIA wins, which is kind of why I have them at 17 here. Now, Graceland here, speaking of, drops down to 16, basically across the board here. Simon put, quote, they drop back to earth after a pair of losses. The loss to Ottawa is a given, but getting blown out by William Woods is a tough pill to swallow. William Woods is a new program in a similar spot to Graceland, so a loss like this is devastating. They get Cotty and Siena Heights next week, which will be an opportunity for them to fend off some programs who are also in similar spots. So that was Simon, who had Graceland at 16. And Gino, who has them in a similar spot, says that they're, quote, definitely sliding a bit after their awesome start to the season. They have a chance to get back on track against Cotty on Wednesday here. And I was just saying that they came crashing back down to earth, but they have still earned to be in front of some of the teams that they're in front of now. But they were not going to stay in front of William Woods after what happened in that William Woods game. Now, Point is in the exact same spot here at 15 here. So they also have not beat an NAIA team and are probably closer to Reinhardt and FMU right now than the next team ahead of them. But I like what they have going on, and they get a shot at Reinhardt and Life this week. We will see how they respond and if they can tally some wins with them ranked at 15. Now, I am just keeping them there, honestly. I want to see what happens with these Reinhardt and Life games before I decide to move point up or down. And Gino said they've shown a lot of life outside of NAIA games, but they're still waiting on their first win against a team in the Sun Conference. So that takes us there, but Campbellsville with a tough drop here to number 14. And that is where Coach V has them saying, quote, "This was a rough week for Campbellsville as they lose to Southwestern, Midland, and William Woods. Inconsistent quarterback play plagued them, but it does appear they have settled on Corinne Talkington. While talented, she is still very much a freshman starter with room to grow. They will have a break, but the next time they return, they'll face William Woods, Rockford, Siena Heights, and Hawking. Shout out Campbellsville for inviting us out to Kentucky, as we will be able to cover all of those games live," end quote. Gino said something similar. Rough week for Campbellsville after falling to Southwestern William Woods. Definitely an uphill battle to get back into the top 10 now. And I also had them at 14 saying rough weekend for the Tigers. I put that the wind blew plenty of footballs the wrong way and seemingly wavered their confidence. We will see if they can get it back in their neck of the woods here in a couple of weeks. Now, at 13, keeping their spot is Southwestern here. Pretty similar here. I'm going to start with Gino on this one, saying another win over Cotty plus a big-time win over Campbellsville, and they are red hot right now. Simon has them at 13, but, quote, "Southwestern has been rolling since beating Graceland in a close one last week. They squeaked by with wins over Cotty and Campbellsville before getting blown out by William Woods. This team will probably come back down to earth, but that's to be expected with such a young team. Mary Jones and Olivia Manfrey have emerged as viable top targets for this program, and if Kennedy Hayes can continue to improve, the offense will get consistent, and that will make this team dangerous." Now I put Southwestern at 13, putting that this team has a lot of exciting pieces and held on for a close win over Campbellsville after a really long delay, but was not able to overcome William Woods. Now, at number 12, dropping down 3 spots here, was Midland here after a tough showing this past weekend. Now, that's where Gino has them saying, quote, 26-0 loss to William Woods is completely unacceptable. This offense is in an extremely concerning position right now. Coach V, similar but noted, a dominant win over Campbellsville on Saturday prevents Midland from dropping even more after getting shut out 26-0 by William Woods earlier in the week. This team's more consistent play from quarterback Angel Ione Kayo. She went from going 16 of 42 against first-year program on Wednesday to 23 of 39 on Saturday versus arguably a deeper and better defense. This team has a lot of offensive weapons and good play calling, but it doesn't mean anything if the QB play isn't good. They get KWU on Tuesday, who is looking to get a big win. Midland needs to come into that game sharp. For me, I put you win some and you lose some. Ione Kayo is not a quarterback who's going to win you the conference, so they'll just kind of be stuck in the middle here for a little bit. And now, our biggest climber of the week here is William Woods here at the number 11 spot here, absolutely surging up here. And Simon even has them at 10, saying, quote, "Despite this being the last week for head coach Joe Schlager, congrats on the Wingate job. William Woods went on a 5-game win streak, which included dominant wins over Graceland, Midland, Southwestern, and Bethel to solidify their rankings within the conference. They also tallied a nice non-conference win over Campbellsville. And despite this success, it is going to be hard to imagine if they can maintain it with their coach leaving. They don't play this week, but they play Cotty after their break. Then they play Campbellsville, Milligan, Siena Heights, and Rockford, which we will be able to watch live. This will be a polarizing team moving forward," end quote. Now, Gino has them at 11, saying, quote, 5-0 this week for Coach Schlager's final week as the Owls head coach. Tons of talent here, but we'll see how many of them stick around after this season, end quote. For me, I have them at 11. I put great weekend and week for the Owls, who came locked in on defense, just shutting out opponent after opponent, but just feels a little uncertain with Schlager's departure. Now, at our number 10 spot, in a weird turn of events, Milligan jumps up 2. How is that possible? We'll go ahead and stick around and listen. Simon has them at 11, putting, quote, "The only 2 losses they have were decided by less than 6 points combined. Once more against Life, they experienced heartbreak in a 33-32 shootout. Milligan has had a very successful season so far, sitting at 6-2, but they need to bounce back with a big win over Reinhardt on Thursday in order to not let their season get away from them. It is worth noting that the offense has been on fire, averaging basically 27 points per game since their home opener versus Point, so that's a bright spot for this team, but the defense has also allowed 30 points per game in their 2 losses. The defense needs to pick it up if they want to consistently win this year, end quote. Gino here having Milligan ahead of William Wood says, quote, 2 losses on the season, but both of them were nail biters. Milligan is as tough as they come and should definitely be a top 10 team by the end of the season, end quote. And that's where I have them. I put tough loss to Life, but still in a better spot heading forward than some of these other programs, in my opinion. Now, moving up 2 spots also was Life, entering the top 10 at number 9 here, where Gino had to say, quote, Life won a classic over Milligan to re-enter the top 10. The Running Eagles are finally catching their stride here in week 4. Simon said, quote, the only NAIA win they have is the one they got over Milligan in a 33-32 thriller this weekend. They are currently sitting on a 5-game winning streak that does include that win, but they are more so here because of the teams below them that have lost this past week, end quote. I put clutch win over Milligan in a heck of a game that will help them move up a little bit, end quote. I recapped that game in this prior segment. Go ahead and give that a listen. And I am very hopeful for how Cheyenne Brooks played in that shootout. And hopefully if she can continue to build off of that, Life could be a pretty solid team heading forward. Now, dropping down 2 spots are the Kansas Wesleyan Coyotes here. Gino here has them ahead of Life saying, quote, the Coyotes so desperately want to be a part of the upper echelon of teams in the NAIA, but they keep getting their own way. Falling to 3rd place in the KCAC is quite discouraging considering the hype they had going into this season, end quote. Simon said, quote, this loss to Baker is reminiscent to their regular season loss last year to them. This Baker team got a big win, and once more KWU just couldn't close out this win in a conference contender. They had their chance at the end, and KWU is just simply had to execute better in these crunch time scenarios. Their game against Midland has the potential to get out of hand in their favor, but can also turn into a shutout depending on Midland's consistency that day. After that, they probably won't play another tight game until they play Baker and Ottawa, which will test whether this team has learned from past mistakes and can execute better in crunch time against these top-tier in-conference rivals, end quote. I put just a small drop for missed opportunities. They'll be fine. Nothing too crazy to say, and I recapped that game, so go ahead and double back to that. Now, sitting at number 7, moving up 1 spot here is Baker. Here, so Simon has Baker at 7 saying, quote, Baker has rattled off 4 in a row since starting the season 0-3. They have avenged 2 of those losses with wins over Midland last week and KWU this week. They get Ottawa on Tuesday for a chance to complete their trifecta of revenge. Excited to see how that game goes, considering how they are almost guaranteed a 3-game win streak against Bethel, USM, and Cotty to close out the month, end quote. Gino has Baker once again at 7, saying the Wildcats knocked off Kansas Wesleyan in what appears to be an absolute classic game. They're finally finding their footing this season, it feels like, end quote. And I actually moved Baker up to number 6. I put big win that they held on to over KWU. This may be temporary, or if they upset Ottawa, it might be longer, end quote. Now, Weber here moves up 1 spot to number 6 here. Simon said they suffered their first loss to Florida Gateway, which is not super surprising considering FGC is deeper than even them. Florida Gateway is a good program, though, and for now, I am comfortable putting them ahead of a couple other teams until they lose to an NAIA opponent. They get St. Thomas this next week, which will provide them an opportunity to play a quality opponent ranked above them, end quote. Gino said they looked great in the Tampa Tournament and have a huge chance to climb up in the rankings if they can beat St. Thomas on Wednesday, end quote. And I had Weber at 7 saying they did drop one to Florida Gateway, who is a powerhouse of JUCOs, but regardless, they have felt shakier than other squads to this point, but I'll leave them here for now, end quote. And now we are into the top 5. Warner here technically drops down a spot. They were tied for 4th last week. They are now number 5 here. Coach V has them at 4 saying, quote, Warner rattled off another 4 wins. They beat UCF's club team 20-7, which is no joke at all, and that should be something they feel good about. They don't play for another 2 weeks versus Reinhardt, so this is probably where they will be until a team above them loses. Gino had them at 5 saying, quote, the Lions came out of the Tampa Tournament unscathed, and they don't play until the 28th, so don't expect much movement from the Lions in the next couple of weeks. And I played some closer games this past weekend against the likes of FMU, but still won them all. So I put them at 5. St. Thomas University now has the number 4 spot all to themselves here. And Simon had them at 5 saying, quote, they took care of Florida Gateway team who has a lot of talent and it wasn't close. This should be a confidence booster heading into their Wednesday matchup against Weber, end quote. And then Gino said, quote, the Tampa Tournament was a breeze for the Bobcats, but they have serious tests against Weber coming up this Wednesday. And I, too, just thought that they handled that tournament very well. And now our 3-2-1, spoiler alert, is still the same. Thomas, Kaiser, Ottawa. let's go ahead and just sprint through why we have them ranked the way that we do. Gino with Thomas at 3 said, quote, they dominated in the Tampa tournament, but can they get revenge against Kaiser on Wednesday? That one is guaranteed to be a classic. For the number 2 spot for Kaiser, Gino said, quote, Kaiser hasn't given up a single point since March 1st against St. Thomas. Their run of terror could be potentially come to a close against Thomas this week, though. A win there could give them a serious argument for the number 1 ranking, end quote. And for Ottawa, he put, quote, nothing but pure dominance from the Braves thus far. They've got a tough one this Tuesday against a red-hot Baker squad. Simon, on the other hand, with Thomas at 3, said one of the few undefeated teams left in the country, but on Wednesday, they get a chance to knock off one of the other undefeateds when they host Kaiser. This should be a preview of the Sun Conference Championship and will give Thomas an opportunity to rise in the rankings for the first time this season. Simon said, quote, Kaiser is listed at 7-0, just like Thomas. First, they got to play Life, which probably won't be a close game. The next day, they got Thomas, which will arguably be the most difficult game they play this season. A win here over Thomas can almost guarantee a Sun Conference regular season championship. And for Ottawa, he put, they haven't played a close game since their KWU matchup 2 weeks ago. Baker will get a shot at them this week, but right now they are one of the most dominant undefeated teams in the country. For me, I have Thomas and Kaiser here, where for Kaiser, I put took care of business against CC and club squads for number 2. Thomas, I put same as Kaiser, big game next week against Kaiser. And for Ottawa, for those who don't remember, I said last week that until they lose, I'm just going to put their point differential from week to week. Last week, it was 94-0. This week, it was 150-0 for Ottawa's score differential. So just to run through it one more time, Ottawa, Kaiser, Thomas for 1, 2, and 3. STU technically gets moved up 1 spot by claiming sole possession of 4. Warner technically moves down 1 spot by getting sole possession of 5. Weber moves up 1 to 7. Baker moves up 1, or Weber moves up 1 to 6. Baker moves up 1 to 7. KWU drops down 2 to 8. Life moves up 2 to 9. Milligan up 2 to 10. William Woods up 5 to 11. Midland down 3 to 12. Southwestern remains at 13. Candlesville down 4 to 14. Point remains at 15. Graceland drops down 2 to 16. Cotty moves up 2 to 17. Reinhardt down 1 to 18. Siena Heights down 1 to 19. USM remains the same at 20. FMU goes up 1 at 21. And Bethel at 22 drops down 1. Those are your PMC power rankings for week 4. And last but certainly not least is Playmaker of the Week honors here. And we had a couple of options, but it had to be somebody from the William Woods program as they were super dominant. Shout out to Hicks, their quarterback, who is playing very, very good ball this past week. Shout out to Jaden Jalbert, who had a very, very solid showing with that pick 6 against Campbellsville. And shout out to Shalik here, who had a pretty good tear over the weekend. 13 receptions, 186 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks, and 11 flag pulls. But we are ultimately going to give it to Ivani Brussel here. She played phenomenally over this past week, going absolutely haywire for this win streak here. Looking at the stats from this past week, I mean, it just feels like she got better and better as the week kind of went on. Starting on 3/12 here, where she had 4 receptions for 33 yards. And then in that shutout win against Midland, had 7 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown. Against Southwestern, 4 receptions, 60 yards and a score. Against Bethel, 6 receptions, 59 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then to close out the weekend, 9 receptions for 57 yards against Campbellsville and Pratt combined. But defensively is where she really brought it home with a 4-sack performance against Graceland in their big win there. Then 3 sacks against Southwestern in that big game there. And then another 3 sacks against Campbellsville and 1 more against Pratt Community College. So 11 sacks overall to go with a combined 6 touchdowns and well over 200 receiving yards. That is how you earn Playmaker of the Week, which, by the way, is brought to you by Code Red Coaching. Visit CodeRedCoaching.com, where the grind to greatness starts with the mind. Once again, that is CodeRedCoaching.com, where the grind to greatness starts with the mind. Check out my guy, Cody Rosenthal. Get in touch with him so that way you could perform as well as the likes of our Playmaker of the Week for Week 4, Avani Brussel out of William Woods University. And with all of that being said, that is going to do it for the Playmakers Corner podcast. I've been your host / showrunner for this episode, Cody Stauffer here. And if you missed Coach V, don't worry. He'll get back on eventually. And shout out to Gino for those recaps. Stay tuned for all future flag football content, whether that is us talking about it with interviews of some of the top players in Colorado, some of the top players from the college scene, or just make sure to stay tuned for our story where we constantly share score updates, ranking updates, and everything in between on the college flag football scene. Once again, I have been your host, Cody Stauffer for Playmakers Corner. Be sure to follow us on Twitter /X at Playmaker Corner, at Playmakers Corner on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you need to find us, we're there. But in the meantime, I'm signing off. Peace.